I want $10 on Playway, $20 backup on Pick 3, and cash for each, please.
Okay, are you adding multi-X to your bet?
Yes, multi-X, all of them.
Smart! Best value bet. Backup and multi-X. You cannot go wrong.
Don't matter the bet, multi-X all of the daily games.
With multi-X added, your winnings can be multiplied 3 times, 5 times, even 7 times. So make it a rule. Add multi-X to all your Playway, daily pick 3, and daily cash for bets every day and for every drop, and watch your money grow. Available at stores and online.
You heard it here. Multiply your winnings daily. Must be 18 or older to play. NLA. Making
Good morning, clubbers, and of course, welcome to another edition of the Wake Up Club, of course, on the Ride Along Network. Another terrific Tuesday in the Isle of Spice or wherever you are. I hope you woke up this morning with gratitude and you're grateful for, the opportunity to, take another breath of life. Papa God, as I always say, he's not done with you if he woke you up this morning. This morning, I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm grateful for good health. I'm grateful for family. I'm grateful for friends. I'm grateful for so many things. And often we take a lot of things for granted. We take a lot of things for granted that are available to us. I'm looking through one of my windows and I'm seeing all the, the good looking, nice, ripe mangoes on the tree. We still live in a country that we have so much of abundance in. And if you pay attention to the world news, you have to know that you've got it good. And you've got to be thankful for having it good. If you're really paying attention to what's happening in the world out there, you know that as much as you are struggling, that you've got it better than a lot of people. So I want you to always remember to practice gratitude. Of course, I'm happy that you've taken the time to join us on the Wake Up Club again this morning. Of course, I want to encourage you to like and, of course, share the program so other people can join in on the fun and join in on the conversation. Now, we've been talking carnival for the past couple of weeks, but, we're taking a quick break. Not that we leaving the carnival behind, Spice Mass is just a couple weeks away. But, of course, this morning we are going to break and we're going to be chatting with two phenomenal women. We're going to be chatting with Rosalind Douglas and Brenda Maynard, and they are co-authors of the book, Leadership. Hold on one second. It seems to have gone blank here, my computer, but hold on, we don't get it. The dark side of leadership. And people are talking about this crisis in leadership world over. We're talking from the United States, we're talking in our own environments, in our own countries. Leadership seems to have taken a dark course. We don't have those leaders with integrity and love for people, so we're going to be diving into this book co-authored by Rosalind Douglas and Brenda Maynard. It's called The Dark Side of Leadership. So we're going to be chatting about that. And we're also going to be chatting about a leadership seminar they have coming up. And they also have a boot camp for students in Form 4 and 5, especially with the summer vacation here. So we're going to be chatting about all that. Listen, I'm still talking carnival, so I want to remind you all that Carnival City is happening this Thursday. Of course, the Port Louis lawn, and you can look forward to performances from Looney Sparks and Electrify, Short Pre, Crave, Guana, Two Blacks, Young Mad, Four Brass, Jerriton, Baraka, and so much more. So there's a lot happening. So we take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive into my conversation with these two phenomenal ladies. We'll be right back. Welcome back, clubbers. Of course, you're tuned into the Wake Up Club on the Ride Along Network. I want to shout out to a few of our clubbers this morning: Denise, Merlis Mark, Tell Joe, Rhonda Spence Thom, Patricia Johnson, Brenda X, McNeely Julian. Of course, welcome as usual. Listen, I know you have options, and I appreciate you joining us on the Wake Up Club. As I said, we're taking a little break out of the carnival vibe, and we're going to be talking leadership this morning, and we're going to be talking about a phenomenal program for our students entering Form 4 and Form 5. So right now, I'd like to welcome to the program two phenomenal women. We're talking about Rosalind Douglas and Brenda Maynard. Ladies, welcome to the Wake Up Club.
Good morning. Thank you.
Morning. Listen, I know it's early, but we wake up early on the Wake Up Club.
That's right.
Listen, ladies, it's happy. Yeah, we're glad to have you. And of course, for those who don't know you, I like to begin my first question with, who is Rosalind? Who is Brenda? And I'll start with you first, Rosalind. Tell us about yourself and your background, where you're from, and so forth.
Well, good morning to you. Thank you so much for having us, and a special morning to all of your viewers online. My name is Rosalind Douglas. I'm from the beautiful island of Grenada. I'm an educator, and I've been doing that for over 10 years, as well as a training facilitator. I offer seminars for working professionals, and I have a passion for supporting the youths, especially in the area of communication, whether that is interpersonal communication skills or writing skills. And it's my pleasure to be with you and my co-author, Brenda Maynard, for us to talk about the dark side of leadership and some of the exciting things that we have going on.
Okay, it's a pleasure to have you. Ms. Maynard, tell us about your background, where you're from, all of that.
Good morning to all the viewers. Good morning, Mr. Kirk, for having us. Good morning again, Rosalind. Yes, my name is Brenda Maynard. I was born in Dominica, but I currently and for my whole life I've lived on the island of St. Martin, and I'm currently the section head of administration at the Parliament of St. Martin. I am an advocate for the youth, so I am a leader in the youth leadership organizations on my island, and other sports. I'm a sports enthusiastic. So I'm on the cricket board, I'm with the basketball team, and right now I am very much in.
We've lost your audio for some reason, Brenda.
Uh-oh.
Okay, well, listen, while Brenda sorts her audio, I've got to ask you, listen, people are saying the world over, we're not just in the Caribbean, not just in St. Martin and in Grenada, but the world over, people are saying there's a crisis in leadership. Now, you two have co-authored the book, The Dark Side of Leadership. And I've got to ask you, what inspired you guys to write this book? Are there any particular events or realizations that sparked the idea to write this book?
A lot of emphasis is placed on the employees, how they should be treated by the leaders in their organizations. But after we had many conversations about our journey in leadership, whether that is in nonprofits or in structured organizations, what we decided is let's take some time to reflect on our experiences. And it was just really amazing that Brenda and I had similar themes. And I said, when I held leadership positions, there was a marked moment where I realized it could be really lonely. It's really lonely to be a leader, especially if you have a vision that you want to bring forward. You're trying to engage with persons, and you've got people that may be underminers in that process. You have persons that have their own agenda, and that could really just make the job very difficult. So when we thought about how that could impact a person, we wanted to be able to help others. If you think about it, sometimes you would get a job in a leadership position and they literally just hand you a bunch of keys and say, good luck. And there really isn't any transition between moving from the worker bee to leading teams, because those require two different skill sets. And so our book unpacks that.
Okay, Brenda, your take on and
And
your inspiration
bas-
behind the book?
basically, I have led the Caribbean with different organizations, and I always know that with leadership, it's very lonely at times. But if you don't have the strategies and you don't have the tools to help you, it can break a leader. And I've seen many leaders with so much potential after a year, after 2 years, say, I don't want to do this anymore. And I thought that together we can highlight or shine the light on some of the dark areas so that we can better prepare leaders to lead and to be successful during and after their leadership roles.
Okay. What are the main themes and messages you hope people will take away from the book?
I'll respond first.
Ladies?
Empowerment. We
Mhm,
hope.
Yeah.
mhm.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, definitely empowerment. I agree with Brenda on that. And in addition to that, to know that what you may be observing isn't a figment of your imagination, and there is a way for you to have successful teams, and there is a way for you to make a decision that's beneficial to your wellness, that whether that is your mental or your physical wellness, because the stress of the job, sometimes you have to make that decision of, is it really worth it to continue?
Brenda, your take? What would you like
And
people
to
to
add
take
on
away from
this,
it? Uh-huh.
to take away that leadership is an exciting and motivating thing to do. And there's a cliche that leaders are born, but actually, I think leaders are led into leadership. And so we hope that this book would be a tool to, not only, like I said, empower, but motivate leaders. And to also take a critical look at yourself. Because when you're leading, you're also having persons walk behind you, look up to you. So if you do things that you guarantee that you're doing the right way, that you're learning, because it's a learning process. Leadership does not automatically make you the boss, the know it all, and you have all the answers. So it is a process. And so I want persons that read this book be be equipped to lead in their roles.
Okay, because I find, I think one of the biggest challenges that I have found in leadership in my own time has been that people management. Because you go to university and you study and you gain a lot of work experience, but then when you reach a leadership position, you have to be able to manage people. And sometimes the majority of the task that you have as a leader is the management of people, not necessarily doing the hands on, but leading people. And that can be a challenge because often leaders are not taught how to manage people and to deal with the complications of people and their issues and all of those things. What are some of the common challenges leaders face, and are they addressed in your book?
Brenda, I'll let you take that.
One of the Sure. One of the things that leaders face is knowing who they're leading. And it is sometimes very difficult. You come into a new situation, and then you have persons, for instance, who have been there before you, and they're holding on to their legacies. You have persons who don't trust you. And so the first thing in that is building trust with your team, knowing what you want, having a vision for your team, and be able to bring your team along and to get the buy-in into what you want to do. Because change is the one constant in life. And a lot of times leadership has a problem because people don't want to see the change. And so before you go in, I am the new person in town or whatever the case may be, you go in and you learn about your team. You build a relationship in order to then establish your vision.
Okay. And how can leaders effectively navigate these challenges, Ms.
Right.
Douglas?
So in our book, we talk about a couple of strategies that you can use. The first one that we have is going left. Going left means that you have to remember that you are the person that's in charge. And if you are a person that, for example, lacks confidence in public speaking and leadership skills, and you keep shying away from leading your meetings, then what you're doing is handing over the responsibility to someone else because they're your voice piece. So what we're saying here is like, come on now, you've got to remember now that this is the position that you have. You've been paid for it, you went to school to be trained for it, and you have that position. The other one that we talk about is going right. And sometimes we just take on too much. We're scared to trust people. But part of being in a group and in an organization, you have to trust. So you have to start delegating responsibilities to others, because sometimes people just want to do everything because they don't trust. And this is where the micromanaging comes in. So we're saying, now, wait a minute. Your responsibility is to train people to give them all the tools that they need in order to be successful, and delegate to kind of take that pressure off and let them give you updates. The two other ones we talk about is taking a step back. We need to reassess. Maybe the plan that you have, as great as it was, it needs to be tweaked. And that's what we talk about in project management. It requires you to be able to make a pivot from time to time, yet still meeting the deliverables. And then finally, we talk about moving forward, having that resolution. You have your team together with you. You've taken courses in order to boost your skills as a leader, and now it's time to move on.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think it is a continuous process. And a lot of people end up in these positions and they really don't have the tools. They have all the book knowledge, everything they would have learned, but sometimes they lack the skills, as you said, the public speaking, how to articulate themselves, how to manage people. So it is a continuous process. But sometimes in the Caribbean, we don't have these facilities available for us to continuously empower ourselves as leaders, or we don't even realize how important these aspects are to leadership on a whole. Our communication, how we communicate, how we manage people, can we empathize with people? A lot of these things that we don't even factor as important into leadership. Now, I've got to ask you guys quoted this book based on experience. Have you shared any personal experiences in the book, and can you tell us about them?
Brenda?
Well, the entire book is our experiences in leadership. So it's not pinpointing a personal or something that affected us. Is in general and with our experience. One of the things that we have learned is that leaders need to take a time to self-evaluate. We're very strong on self-evaluation, because if you do that, then you are then setting yourself up for success. And so leaders, and especially like you mentioned, Mr. Kirk, in the Caribbean, we sometimes think, okay, we're here, we don't need to upgrade. One of the things is staying with the time. There are so many different tools that you need to learn about now that can be more effective in your process and make your work even easier. And there are persons who come in fresh on the block who have knowledge. So you don't want to be where you're in a position that you don't know. So it is a constant upgrading of that person. And so it is not about the personal experience, it is about the experiences of leadership, and of course seeing others who have led. We have been in situations where we motivate and coach persons who have had a very difficult time leading, and sometimes we mentor persons and say, hey, look out for this, because this can happen. And so we try to prepare persons that are around us. We have our seminars, we have different trainings that we do to empower persons to realize what their role is as a leader. Because if you're not an effective leader, the ones that are following you won't get anything out of your leadership.
I would add that another thing that we advocate for is talking to other persons who hold leadership positions. So in our book, we have guided questions that could lead to you just exchanging ideas. Sometimes people just want to hold on and stay in the box and think that they have to figure it out all themselves. So we would even go so far as to say, send an email. Here's a draft email that you can send to a leader to say, I just want to talk with you to just gain some experience. Tell me about how did you deal with these specific things? And we provide an outline for that. You really should not isolate yourself at all. That type of mentorship, reaching out deliberately, is crucial to your success.
Okay. Now, the book is called The Dark Side of Leadership. What sort of advice do you offer to leaders who may find themselves grappling with that dark side, the darker aspects of leadership?
Well, actually, the title is The Dark Side of Leadership, Shining the Light. So we are saying that this book will shine the light on what is the pitfalls or what are the bottlenecks that you experience during leadership. So we're not only saying here is a dark side, but we're saying here is how to navigate and be able to overcome the dark spots in leadership.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So I've got to ask, what do you see as the future of leadership in light of the themes discussed in your book? Are there any emerging trends that concern you or trends that are giving you hope? Because it's not all the negative.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And just as Brenda said, the end part of the title of our book is Shining the Light. And what we're saying here is, listen, even though you may encounter these dark moments in your leadership journey, you once you shine the light on it, just like the flashlight that we have, and our book was designed by Kurt Cummings, a Grenadian, you're going to shine the light on those issues. And the only way for you to address it is to be able to see it. And so if we're unpacking those common dark sides of leadership and we're shining the light on it, then you're able to address it.
Okay. Now tell me about the book. Where is the book available? How can someone get their hands on a copy of the book?
Right now, the book is available on Amazon, and Brenda and I are working to get hard copies available. It's interesting that Brenda lives in St. Martin and I'm in Grenada. And a fun fact, would you believe that we've been working on this for 3 years? We met in a public speaking organization and we've never met in person, yet we were able to successfully produce this book. And that goes to show that if you're determined, you can work virtually with others and provide a resource that could be helpful.
Okay, so the book is currently available on Amazon in the Kindle version.
Yes.
And
Okay.
paperback now.
And paperback now. Because, I'm a paperback person. I try the Kindle thing, but I just seem to like to have that, I'm old school. You're not trying to come up with the times because you have to, or you get left behind. But when it comes to reading, I like that manuscript in my hand. Now, I've got to ask you both, what advice would you give to aspiring leaders who want to cultivate a positive and effective leadership style and to encourage them to avoid the pitfalls that you describe in your book in terms of the dark side of leadership?
I would like
One
to
of the
lead-
things is to be prepared. Go ahead, Rosalind.
Yeah.
No, I was saying that my advice to any leader, whether you're now currently in a position or you're aspiring to be a leader, is to plan the path for yourself first. I always say that you need a plan B, a plan A, and know the persons that you're going to lead, know the organization you're going to lead, and you have to have a vision of where you want to take it. One of my personal mottos is to leave everything that I do a little better than I met it. So with your leadership, you then plan, was this good? How do I make it better? This didn't work. What do I exchange it for? And to be empathetic about the persons that you're leading. They're not just tools. They are human beings who are living life. Get to know them on a one-on-one basis and understand their roles under your leadership.
Okay.
One of the things that I like to share during my seminars is this statement, and it has to deal with your presentation of self and consideration of others. If a leader does not address problematic employees, it creates a culture that is unhealthy. And leaders have to be careful in how they're conducting themselves and if they're giving favoritism to others. Yeah. So for me, one of the things that I share is this statement: you were not hired to like people, keep toxic individuals around out of loyalty, to be oppressive to others, to recruit others to harm people or save face. Instead, your role is to work in a team to fulfill your duties and to do so with cordiality and professionalism. A true leader and employee must foster an environment that creates a positive culture. And I would just love to be able to see that on every wall in every business in Grenada and the Caribbean, because I believe that it really gets to the heart of some of the matters that creates chaos in the workplace. And as a leader, it's your role to rein it in, even if that means cutting out the root because of the toxicity in the workplace. And it doesn't matter if they are a high performer.
Most definitely. Now, you guys have a seminar coming up that, offers, advice to leaders and so forth. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, our seminar will be held on the 7th of June on a Saturday morning from 9 to 12. And basically, we take parts of the book and we elaborate on it. We give tools of leadership. We have case studies that the participants work on. And of course, we exchange our experiences with them during our sessions.
And in Grenada, we have a boot camp that's coming up. It's boot camp level 3, and this one is designed specifically for Form 4 and 5 students. So if you're going into Form 4 or you're going into Form 5 in September, this is the boot camp for you, where we talk about entrepreneurship, career planning, how to build a healthy home life, and then, of course, writing mastery. Because part of my educational journey, I taught mainly writing courses, and I get into those common writing errors that could cause a student to not pass English A.
Okay, well, most definitely. But listen, we're going to dive into the boot camp after it, because it's another aspect. I'm very excited about that, because I think it's very important to give our students those skills as well. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to dive into the Icon Leadership Bootcamp Level 3 for students entering Form 4 and Form 5. Clubbers, we take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447.
Welcome back, Clubbers. Of course, this morning I'm chatting with Rosalind Douglas and Brenda Maynard. They're co-authors of The Dark Side of Leadership. They have a leadership seminar coming up, but they're also going to have a boot camp for Form 4 and Form 5 students. Ladies, welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much.
Now, I'm excited about the boot camp because, let me tell you something. Sometimes I remember my days as a student, and when I see so many opportunities now, and I guess the world revolves and the world evolves, I'm always, damn, why they didn't have that during my time? But I'm very happy that it's happening now. Can you tell me about this boot camp? What inspired this boot camp, and what do you hope to achieve, from this boot camp? What prompted you to create the boot camp initially?
What prompted me to create the boot camp, and I've been offering it for several months now, starting last year, I noticed that there's a trend with regards to English A, the CXC exam in particular, that the pass rate seems to be on a downward trajectory. I taught writing courses, English, at the community college, at the university level, and I can say when the students first arrive, there are just some common writing errors that keep happening. And so the boot camp hones in on those errors to make sure that the students are equipped to write really well. So my position is, if you can write a sentence, you can write a paragraph. And if you can write a paragraph, you can write an essay. So we start all the way back, especially for the boot camps targeting those in Forms 1 and 2 and grade 6. But now when I thought about it, similar to the statement that you just made, I thought about my experience when I was in Form 4 or 5, and you're just in la la land and you're just living life. It's just a lot of pressure for CXC and nothing else. But I think that when you're in Form 4 and 5, we need to start shaping the minds of the children to say, you know what, you're now entering into a new phase of adulthood. And so we need to start thinking about, well, yes, you could get a traditional job, but how about entrepreneurship? you may not be in a happy home right now, but do you know you can envision a happy, healthy home for yourself? Yeah. So those are the kind of topics that come in. I've had a guest speaker come in to talk about your digital footprint and the importance of knowing what that's like. Mr. Dabrio came in to speak to the students. And so he gave a beautiful analogy of, when you walk on Grand Anse Beach along the shore, do your footprints disappear when the water comes? They said, yes. He says, well, online, it's not like that. Whatever you put there, you have to fix it. So we're trying to arm the students with information and tools that can help them start to transition to, you actually have a role in thinking about the future that you have for yourself. But I'm also passionate about interpersonal communication skills. We've seen that these children that are coming out now, they're in the digital world. And so we want to make sure that they understand that how you speak to persons in a different generation matters, and how you speak to one another in the workplace or just generally is very crucial. So I go through interpersonal communication skills, from eye contact drills to small talk, and then of course with the writing.
Okay, I think that's very important because, recently I spoke to the Form 5 students of the Anglican High School, and the topic I was given is, study hard and you are going to soar, you're going to be successful. Now, my speech was around that, but I also spoke about healing in order to succeed, which sometimes we keep telling people, study hard, you're going to win. But sometimes you have to unpack some of that hurt.
Absolutely.
And some of those challenges you would have faced within your youth in order to be able to soar.
Absolutely.
So I'm really glad that this boot camp focuses on stuff like that. But I've got to ask, what other specific skills or knowledge areas will the students focus on during the boot camp?
Well, as I mentioned, besides the entrepreneurship and thinking about the kind of life that you want for yourself, we'll also cover study skills. Yeah. And I think the way that I design it, it's evidence-based. So whenever we have writing drills, for example, I put the students in pairs. And then after they've gone through the criteria and master that, then we move on to you writing on your own, and then me giving you feedback on that, if that makes sense. So the whole experience is not just, I have the students sitting down, nailed down to a table, and they're just writing for 3 hours. Absolutely not. There's a lot of moving around. We also put them in a circle to have discussions in terms of the small talk. So it's a lovely experience. And if you go on to the website of ICON Leadership Seminar and Coaching Services, which is attached to WIBLE, you would see the feedback from the parents who were really grateful that their children were exposed to the boot camps that I've offered. And I also ask them, how was the mood of your child or your loved one? Because we have aunties and grandfathers that send their loved ones to the boot camp. It's not always parents. That how were they after the class? And it's mainly energized, enthusiastic, and they like the way that I teach because I slow it down. I don't believe in large class sizes at all. ICON Leadership Seminar and Coaching Services, we believe in the small class sizes. So for this boot camp, it caps at 12 because that allows me to really be able to evaluate the students' progress. And in my time in offering boot camps, it actually sometimes exposes the fact that the student has a learning disability or they have a vision problem, and that's the reason why they're struggling. It has nothing to do with their ability. It's just that they need some extra support. And so those resources are provided by the ministry, and I connect the parents with that. So it's really a beautiful experience.
Yeah, because I was just about to ask you, in a world where, and I'm going to say our Form 5 and Form 4 students are bombarded with distractions, from their mobile devices and all of that, I was going to ask you, how do you intend to keep them engaged? Because you're dealing with a certain set, Form 4 and Form 5 students. So what's the magic behind that, keeping them engaged and focused?
Yeah, what I try to do, I do a couple of things. The first thing is to give the information in bite-sized pieces, but then every 10 minutes change it to something else. So the activity would relate to what I presented, and then they have to actually do it physically, talking, standing up, speaking, or writing it down. So there's always movement. Another strategy that I use is that I try to give definitions with the same cadence and the same words all the time. And so after a while, you hear them saying it back to me in that way. So many of them have said in an exam, they can actually hear my voice in their head because of that, the cadence of it. Yeah. So I think that those strategies and more, I have my secret sauce that help the students have a wonderful time.
Okay. Now, I think it's brilliant that you ladies are focusing on leadership, and even leadership at such a young level. Okay. I've got to ask, what aspects of leadership will be most relevant for students at this age, and how do you plan to teach those concepts? Either lady.
Well, I would say for the boot camps that I currently offer, the focus is on interpersonal communication skills and also the writing skills. Now, when it comes to leadership, as for example, the seminar that Brenda and I have coming up, we're going to arm those who already are in a leadership position with the tools based on our book. Other seminars that I've offered would be the human side of professionalism, where I get into the fact that we have different generations in the office and how we need to communicate with others. And another one that I'm passionate about is the fact that we have to talk about life after onboarding. You can't just put someone in a new role and not provide any support system. So the previous resource that I created, Educational Perspectives, is designed to provide support to new teachers, to encourage mentorship between the veteran teacher and the new teacher, right? And so that is the stance that we have in that regard. So Brenda, can you speak a little bit about our seminar that's coming up this Saturday that focuses on leadership?
Somehow I think Brenda was experiencing. Yeah, I think Brenda was experiencing some technical difficulties. So hopefully she will jump out and come back in again.
Okay.
You know, when she's hearing us. But let me ask you this. How can parents support their children during the boot camp? And will there be opportunities for them to be involved?
Yes. So for getting them involved, whenever I have a guest speaker, the invitation is extended for the parents to participate. And depending on the topic, that I have coming up, I want them to be in the room in those small group circles, because I want the students to be able to appreciate how much sacrifice their parents are giving to make sure that they have a great experience. I look at them and I'm like, man, I wish I was you. Your parents taking extra money out to make sure that your writing can improve, that you can get an opportunity to expand your social skills. It's so lovely when the room is filled with someone from Anglican High School, another one from Presentation Brothers College, one from J.W. Fletcher. These are people that they would have never have met before. And just like that, they are able to expand their social circle. So it's really exciting, and it's beautiful, because I believe that is something that's lacking. We keep talking about the youths and them being all over the place, but are we really providing a structured environment for them to socialize? Are we teaching them how to actually introduce yourself? So from the first Saturday, you see the students really, really shy. And then by the time it's over, they've exchanged numbers and they're going to different places to have ice cream. And that's because I would have taught them from the basic. Turn your whole body to the person that's next to you. Hello, my name is Rosalind. What's your name? Like, I literally go all the way back to those type of communication skills. And the parents have said that they found their children more responsive, willing to engage with them. And that's what makes it really exciting.
Okay. Now, a parent looking at this, an aunt, a grandma, whoever, that sees this as a great opportunity and probably a brilliant summer gift to a Form 4 or Form 5 student, how can they get involved? Where do they sign up? Is there a website? Is there a social media page? How can someone get involved?
So for the boot camp, we have You can go onto Facebook and look on Icon Leader. You'll find my logo there. You can also send an email to iconleadergnd for Grenada at gmail.com. So iconleadergnd@gmail.com. And you can also send me a WhatsApp message at 538-7789, 538-7789, and I will respond to you.
Okay, now we are at boot camp 3, which means there was a boot camp 1 and a boot camp 2.
Correct.
Can you tell me about the long-term impact that you would have seen from the previous boot camps?
What excites me is the fact that I see parents willing to keep their children with me on the journey. So when I started with the first boot camp, there was a great response to that. And then when I said, okay, this is a second level that I'm offering now, and they send their kids back to me once more, you know? So those are the things that I've noticed, that there is, the parents are seeing a value in their children being part of this experience. And then now I'm moving them out into the world. I even offered a session for grade 5 and 6, just to help them prepare for the CPEA, and understand that my role is not to replace their teacher, not at all. I'm just simply coming alongside to offer support, because one of my students said that they had as many as 30 students in one class. And that creates a lot of problems, an enormous amount of pressure on the teacher. Because if you think about it, you would be introducing at least 2 new concepts per week. And each time you have to create some type of assessment, whether it's an exit ticket or if it's a writing course, they actually have to write it. So you have 30 students times 2, right? That's what you're doing for that week, times 4. And then some teachers are responsible for 2 and 3 classes. So when you multiply that, that's a lot of time for poor circulation in your legs for sitting down and grading and planning and standing and teaching. And then that creates a kind of stress. So whereas we love the teaching profession, I do think it's an important conversation about, okay, now 30 is too much. What does research say in terms of the best size classes? Because when the teacher is having this type of pressure, he or she really cannot provide the individual attention that's required for their students. It's just virtually impossible. They'll do their best, but that dynamic is the core part of what could break it down. And then it also impacts their relationship with the parents of the students, especially if you have a parent that's really honing in on making sure their child has a great experience. So they're like, well, I'm not noticing that there's feedback on the work. What is happening here? And then that creates some problems, right? And then with that stress in the staff room, you know, that's the interpersonal relationship between educators as well. So I could speak a lot on this, but I'm just really passionate about those 2 things. I am against the large class sizes wholeheartedly. I think it creates a major problem for the experience of the student. It puts unnecessary stress on the teacher in the classroom, and it impacts the relationship even between the teacher and the student, because the student feels left out. When no one is giving you the attention that you desire, you start to tune out, and then now we have behavior problems. So, you know, so that's why I like what I've developed for the boot camps. This is what I can do right now. We have 10 to 12 students, and then we're going to make sure you have an amazing experience.
Okay. Brenda, are you able to, can we hear you now? Brenda? We're still not able to hear Brenda for some reason. Brenda, log out and log completely back in, and let's see if that will be the fix. Ms. Douglas, I've got to ask you, how do you select your facilitators for the boot camp? Because that's important to me. Because, you know, I've noticed as someone who came out of the education system in Grenada, who's worked in the Ministry of Education for many years, that sometimes the problem with a lot of students, the facilitator or the teacher. You know, I've seen teachers who have been teaching CXC for many years, and every year if they get 2 or 3 passes out of the 30 students in the class, nothing is done remedial for the teachers. How do you specifically select your facilitators for the boot camp?
So in my experience in dealing with the boot camp, remember I started with the forms 1s, 2s, and 3s, and the emphasis was on the interpersonal communication skills and the writing skills. For level 2, this is when I had the first guest speaker to come in, and he spoke about the cyber, how you present yourself on the internet and making sure that you have a healthy digital footprint. And so now when we're moving into this one is going to have a lot of speakers. I look at their character. I interview them to observe how they speak, making sure that we're on the same page, because the parents are trusting me to make sure that their children are in a safe environment. So when my boot camp, there's always a second adult in the room. Sister Dale Henry, she's with me, and she provides that extra support. And then I would have probably been an admirer of theirs or a fan of their work to see how they present, because you definitely don't want someone who's boring and standing up there. So for me, the criteria that I'm looking for would be individuals who, for example, have led their own business. They're an entrepreneur. Are you able to explain that in a way for a Form 4 or 5 person to understand? There's also needs to be a willingness to speak to the youths. So on some level, they have a passion or past experience of leading youths. And so you hear that passion coming out, like, I would love to do that, versus a person says, I'll let you know. When a Grenadian says, I'll let you know, it's not happening. So then you need to move on.
Okay, most definitely. So when does the boot camp start? Where does it take place? And to remind us again, how we can sign up and get involved.
So for the months of July and August, I'm having 2 groups. So there'll be the first group in July and then a second opportunity for a new batch in August. In July, it would be the 4 consecutive Saturdays in July. And in August, well, we know we have Carnival, so that Saturday around Carnival would not be it. So we'll start with the first one and then continue for the last 3. If you're interested in learning more about it, you can send me an email at iconleadergnd@gmail.com. And you can also send me a WhatsApp at 5387789. Now, understand that this is a passion of mine, and I take a lot of time to plan to make sure that it's a success. But I also respect my employer. So I would respond to you outside of those work hours to make sure that I'm committed to who's taking care of me.
Okay, most definitely. I know we're having some problems with the technical side from your co-host and partner, but definitely you have been giving us all the information that we need. But I've got to ask you that, are there any plans to expand this bootcamp concept in the future? And if so, what might that look like?
What I would really love is to expand it to other parishes. I've had parents who live in the northern part of the island that would like to send their child, but then now we're talking about how do they get there to the place. So I have been researching facilities, and I finally found one in Grenville, and I'm looking forward to in August having the boot camp available in Grenville, because I think if you're in Grenville, you may be able to get over there from St. John or one of the other northern parishes compared to where we have it now. So I have it at St. George's Evangelical Church in the multi-purpose room. We call it the Man's, and this is an in-kind support by my pastor, Pastor Keynes Douglas, and his dear wife, Sister Denise, and the board of the church. They see that this is a vision that I have, and that's their way to provide in-kind support. I think another thing to answer your question would be, I would love for this to be available for free, because we do have parents that are going through some difficult economic times, personal, due to employment or other reasons, and they would like to send their child, but they can't afford it. And we understand that. And I have written out to send the video presentations and letters asking different businesses to support. So if you're listening and you are happy with what I presented today on this program, you could definitely get in touch with me as well. But right now, only one business has done that, and that would be Ariza Credit Union. It was a boys club that's based in St. David, and they provided support for that. And that was really beautiful. So you have all these boys coming in and being able to gain the experience. And it was just really, really wonderful.
Okay. Now, before I give you the opportunity to wrap up and to encourage people to support not only the book, The Dark Side of Leadership, not only the leadership conference for adults and the boot camp, would you ever consider doing a boot camp for adults? Because a lot of adults don't have these tools to even impart onto their children. And I think it would be a wonderful idea. I'd be one of your first people signing up, because I think, we have to constantly be looking at opportunities to evolve and to learn. As I told you, I have managed so many businesses for so many years, but what I found that I was challenged the most with, and I had to find the tools, was managing people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Brenda and I are working on that to be able to offer. I would say, even interestingly, one of the boot camps that I offered was virtual. And it was clear that some parents were sitting in on it and taking notes. Okay. And that's because they too, for different reasons in their journey, was not able to complete secondary school, or they just getting ready to further their education at the college and university level, and they want that refresh. And they're like, oh man, really? Those are 3 types of sentences? Let me listen in. So I think even there's room for that, but definitely for leadership, we are working on many things to provide that opportunity. And you're right, it all boils down to managing people, but we take a step further to talk about you as a person, you as a leader. Understand that there are some dark sides to leadership, and here are some tools that could help you not feel so lonely anymore. So we just encourage people to go on Amazon. If you have Kindle, to download it. You can start reading it right now. It's a quick read. It's not one of those big, thick books. It's just one of those things that you could put in your bag. You can gift it to someone who is a leader. It's available in paperback, and we'll be the first to share with you when we have the virtual book launch, and that would get into providing some glimpse into the sessions that we have planned. Brenda is a wonderful human being. I'm so blessed to have my path crossed with hers. She has been a supporter, not only for the writing of this book, for us collaborating, but just as a friend. And she is passionate about the people in St. Martin and those in Dominica as well, where she was born, to just know that she really loves individuals, and she is passionate about the youths just as I am. We have so many things in common. We met in Toastmasters International. We're both members of Lions International, and then she has her hand in education, developing resources, and I am too. So it's just a really perfect match. But what's really interesting in this journey, we have never met in person yet. All of this has been done virtually, a friendship, building a business, and I just think that that's really exciting.
Very much so. I have Marilyn Benjamin saying, would you consider doing something like this, something similar like this at schools in the country if it's sponsored?
Yes. I mentioned that with you just a few moments ago. I really would like to offer this for free. And the only way to do that is to have sponsorship. People would say, okay, you should offer it free generally, but, I'm a businesswoman and I have expenses. So we're running a business here. And yes, there would be room for that. And yes, I have given free sessions, but we also want to see the same level of enthusiasm that we have for sports to also go into supplementary education. And I would go a step further to say, I'm concerned that we're leaving our boys behind. I get really excited when I see the young men coming into my class, because research shows that they tend to struggle in the writing and they thrive in small groups, small class sizes. That's what the research says. And so I have a soft spot for young boys, an advocate for men as well. And I would just say it would be really nice to have sponsorship, especially for boys. But I believe in having cross genders in my classroom because they need to know how to meet new people. They need a structured, safe place to socialize. And that's what I offer.
Totally in agreement with you. Unfortunately, Brenda seems to be having some technical difficulties, but we definitely will have her on again.
Yeah.
We're about to wrap up, so I want you to kind of, remind me, how can we sign up for the boot camp? When is the leadership seminar? And where we can get the book, The Dark Side of Leadership.
So our book, The Dark Side of Leadership, Shining the Light, is currently available on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version or the paperback. Many Grenadians and persons living in St. Kitts and St. Martin and Dominica, all across the Caribbean, you have your ways of getting things brought in from the US. So you can get your paperback and order it now. Brenda and I are making arrangements to have the paperback just before Christmas on island for those who want it and don't prefer to purchase things online. So it's available on Amazon.com. You can get the Kindle or the paperback. The seminar that we have coming up this Saturday, the 7th, it's definitely for leaders in terms of what's preventing you from being an effective leader. Yes, it's on a Saturday because we just want you to have that downtime away from the office to focus on you. View it as a time for self-care. And even though it's online, it's very interactive with small groups, and it gives you an opportunity to have conversation and share ideas with other people who are holding that position. So if you're interested in that, we have a separate email for that. That's shiningthelight, DSL@gmail.com. And if you're interested in the boot camp for the Form 4s and 5s, I also will be having some opportunities as well during those months for students going into Form 3. And moving into Form 2, and more information will be shared with that through your platform and on my Facebook page, which is Leadership, Icon Leader.
Listen, Ms. Douglas, I am so thankful that you decided to join us this morning and to share this information, a wealth of information. We keep hearing all over the world that leadership is in crisis, but leaders face a lot of challenges, and often they don't have the tools necessary to guide them. And especially us in the Caribbean, we don't have those facilities. I keep complaining all the time that I hate the fact that Grenada shuts down at 4:00. I should be able to constantly be developing myself, taking a class, doing something, to prepare myself for more. As I said, one of the biggest challenges I face, and I'm continually getting the skills for it, but the more people struggle, the more difficult it becomes to work and to understand how to manage people, because people are coming from so many different directions now. I'm happy about the leadership seminar. I think that, those who are interested in empowering themselves, it's something that they should do. And of course, I am fascinated and I love the concept of the boot camp, and this is the 3rd series focusing on Form 4s and Form 5s, and it's about making them whole as individuals. Yes. And I want to commend you and of course, Ms. Maynard on this wonderful initiative. Please feel free, anytime there's some information, send it to me. I'm happy to share it with our riders and our clubbers, because it's all about empowering our people. There's enough negativity outside there. I'm sure by the time I reach the work later, I'm going to hear some kind of negativity, and I won't hear about the positive things happening in and around Grenada. So I want to commend you for this. I want to thank you for joining us this morning on the Wake Up Club.
It was an honor to be in your presence. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, everyone else.
Definitely. Folks, you're tuned into the Wake Up Club. We take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tours today.
Welcome back, folk. And of course, thank you for joining us on the Wake Up Club today. It's a terrific Tuesday. Of course, keeping it on the Ride Along Network. You know, I appreciate you. I am thankful for you because you viewers, I'm always happy to see the comments, how interested you are in the topics that we discuss. If there's a topic you'd like us to discuss, please share it with us so that we can get the right people here so we can talk about those issues. Listen, remember Carnival City this Thursday at the Port Louis Lawn. If you're looking to go and get a little taste of what's happening in terms of the music, please go out and support. Listen, I haven't forgotten the Carnival vibe. This Friday, I'm going to be chatting with the man himself, Randy Isaac. I'm going to be talking so much about his life, his music, what he sees as the future of Calypso and Soca. We're going to have an in-depth conversation. So on Friday, tune in to my conversation with the man himself, Randy Isaac. Once again, thank you very much and have a terrific Tuesday. See you on Friday. Bye.
What if you had a choice? A choice of joining a line or a choice of making your purchases online? What would you choose? While you ponder on that, the National Lotteries Authority has provided another purchasing option. All their games are now available online. Yes, Grenadians! From wherever you are, purchase your favorite daily and jackpot type games using any electronic device. Register on the NLA's website at www.nla.gd. Top up your account and enjoy online lottery gaming at your convenience. We're taking shopping comfort up, several notches. But the choice is yours. Join a line or buy online. NLA, make your dreams come true.
Hi, I want $10 on Playway, $20 backup on Pick 3, and cash for each, please.
Okay, are you adding multi-X to your bet?
Yes, multi-X, all of them.
Smart! Best value bet. Backup and multi-X. You cannot go wrong.
Don't matter the bet, multi-X all of the daily games.
With multi-X added, your winnings can be multiplied 3 times, 5 times, even 7 times. So make it a rule. Add multi-X to all your Playway, daily Pick 3, and daily cash for bets every day and for every drop, and watch your money grow. Available at stores and online.
You heard it here. Multiply your winnings daily. Must be 18 or older to play. NLA, making your dream.
Looking for the ultimate island experience? Hop on the Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch Tour and explore Grenada like never before. Feel the tropical breeze, sip on authentic Caribbean rum punch, and cruise through Grenada's stunning scenery in our unique and fun tuk-tuks. It's the perfect blend of adventure and island flavor. Book your unforgettable tour now at ride.gd or call 473-422-1011. Don't just see Grenada, experience it with Ride Tuk Tuk Rum Punch tours today.
Are you a progressive young leader, a proactive emerging executive, a rising professional? Then you need appropriate cover for your vehicle. Introducing the Pro Motor Plan from Beacon. Car insurance that includes free loss of use, windscreen cover up to $3,500, free special perils, free accident forgiveness. Get Beacon's Pro Motor Plan today. Don't procrastinate. Call Beacon today at 440-4447